Tactical Rule Studies, otherwise known as TSR, just announced they are suing Wizards of the Coast. Well, I just got in the door from having to take my son to school. It is so slick outside, you can't even walk outside normally. You got to walk like a penguin and everything like that. And the first thing I do is I turn on my computer, I get home, turn it on, boot up, look on Twitter, and there is the post from Tactical Rule Studies, or aka TSR, the original owners of Dungeons and Dragons, are now suing Wizards of the Coast. Let's dive into this. If you don't know who TSR is, or Tactical Rule Studies, I've got the second edition Dungeons Guide Master book here, and you can see right on the very bottom there, right? That's TSR. They are the original creators of Dungeons and Dragons with Gary Gygax. Now, there's been a lot of talk in the gaming world with what's going on with Tactical Rule Study, or Tactical Studies rules. They've been passed through a few hands here. Originally, they were bought out by Wizards of the Coast when they came into legal trouble and copyright issues and lawsuits and all this other things. So Wizards of the Coast picked them up, and then shortly after that, Hasbro bought out Wizards of the Coast. So this is the ongoing battle. Now, recently, I think it was in like 2005 or 2015 or something like that, I don't know what it was, Wizards of the Coast let the copyright lapse, and someone else picked them up as a third party, and then they let it lapse, and now someone else has picked it up, and now there's contention on who actually owns the copyright for TSR. It really comes down to who actually owns the copyright, and the people that are in control of this particular account are the ones that are Ernie Gygax, Gary Gygax Jr., and what is it, Lanash? There's a couple other people, but Ernie Gygax, one of the sons of Gary Gygax, I think he has one of the most legitimate claims to actually have the copyright this because of the blood lineage and everything like that. But today, I see on Twitter that they are officially announcing a lawsuit against Wizards of the Coast. Well, as you can see below me, I put up one of the old logos for TSR, another one that's very recognizable. This is one that I believe was on most of the Dragonlance novels. But from TSR is suing Wizards of the Coast for trademark declaratory judgment of ownership. This is where everything's up in the air because no one actually has the legitimate claim to TSR anymore. The copyright ownership of the company is out there in the court system right now, and it's been tied up. So this is the first steps towards actually owning that copyright and that ownership of the company. On top of this, this is going to be a landmark sort of lawsuit, because now TSR will also pursue having Wizards of the Coast remove the legacy content disclaimer placed on TSR-based Dungeons and Dragons and other products. This is the disclaimer that we are seeing places like Netflix, Disney Plus put on old movies saying they did depict things in a different time. That disclaimer doesn't need to be there because those movies were made in that time. You don't need a disclaimer on stuff when they're made, when we're in the world of 2021. This is the disclaimer that they are trying to remove. They're talking, the disclaimer talks about certain tropes that were brought into the game, and those tropes were not placed in these characters or in these things for the role-playing aspect of the world until much later on, when people said, well, looking back at this, those were bad ideas, those were racially motivated ideas, when that's not the case. These were things that were added on after other people went and took those subset of rules, made new stories around those subset of rules, and then applied those tropes to those new stories. The original rules never mentioned any of that and was open for anyone to interpret and change the rules as they see fit. This disclaimer does not need to be on these products. So I guess it comes down to, how are they going to do all of this? It looks like they have started a Indiegogo account to help fund this. Now you can see here that the filings have already happened The Indiegogo account is just to help progress that. You know, this is a David versus Goliath situation where TSR is now a much smaller entity from what they were, and of course they're going to need help trying to battle that. And I'm betting there are a ton of people out there that will be looking at this. Now, it's Justin Lanasha.
Hello, I am Justin Lanassa, current CEO of TSR. TSR believes in the freedom to write games, novels, and books as if they...
Now, this is the ongoing stuff where he's going to get into the disclaimer in particular and how it is actually creating libel on these products. They're created in a time and in an entity where these disclaimers don't need to exist. And this is going to be a landmark. And I wouldn't be surprised if more people jump in on this than just TSR, because this is going to move forward and actually move things in a direction with the gaming concept and the gaming world that is going to be much different. These types of disclaimers don't need to be on these products.
They are art forms. Wizards of the Coast stand against artistic freedoms and suppress those freedoms. TSR has launched a campaign to stop Wizards of the Coast from bullying smaller game corporations, game designers, artists.
So this is a very interesting point. We are now also seeing a ton of other card game companies coming out. Flesh and Blood, MetaZoo, and many others. Just off the top of my head, that's what comes to my mind, mostly because of Alpha Investments. I'm seeing everything that he's pushing along. There is other card games as well. We have Pokemon, which used to be a Wizards of the Coast product, which they lost to Nintendo. They picked it up, and I believe possibly Niantic's involved with that. I'm not entirely sure. But then we've got so many of these things, and now the market is wide open for all these card games, for all of these Dungeon Masters games, for all these adventures. And then we also have Paizo forming their own union. So everything's working in tandem, but this is the first point going forward where they're saying you can't put these disclaimers on older products just because they were built in that day and age. And everyone's definition of stuff has changed over the years. That definition doesn't really translate anywhere when when they made these, none of that was the idea of it. Now, if this goes forward, there's going to be a discovery process for the courts, and under oath and under the courts, they're going to sit there and now put this on the forefront. This is a big deal. You might sit there and you click this video and go, hey, this guy's just talking and rambling. But no, this is a giant deal when it comes to our role-playing games and comes to playing in our homes where you set the rules. Wizards of the Coast is trying to do one thing. TSR is trying to say, listen, you guys can't just turn around and say, no, this disclaimer is going to affect sales. It's going to affect the brand name in particular. And they're making a strong claim here. And with it being Ernie Gygax behind this, I believe they have one of the strongest claims to this brand.
And those in the industry. TSR believes that most gamers have been neglected by big corporate greed and empty suits who don't even play the game.
And that is really where it is now. That it comes down to Hasbro and everything that Hasbro has done since they picked up Wizards of the Coast. They went after a long time ago. They wanted Dungeons and Dragons. Hasbro wanted them for the longest time, and then TSR ran into trouble. They extended too far, ran into lawsuits, ran into this, ran into that. And now it's time that they're moving forward at a point where they can sit there and go, we're making claim to this. We're going to bring this to the courts. And of course, it seems that they want everyone that can get on board to get on board and help them through this. I, for one, am going to sit here. I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be reporting on this particular topic because it is a big deal to me and to everyone that I know. It's big. This is giant news. If this can go forward and actually have some sort of discovery out of this, this will be a big thing in the long run. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This is your proud Canadian Phoenix signing off. Go check out the Indiegogo. Watch the rest of the video there that he has put up there, and I will see you all next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again.